Hello everyone, it's Jen, Scrapbena Creations. I have another project for Not2Shabby Shop, and today's extra special because I'm collaborating with my friend Jessica McAfee. So I'm going to show you the stamp here first. I'm using the Fall Gnomes. Jessica is using a different stamp set that is fall themed from Not2Shabby Shop. So make sure to go and check out her YouTube video, which I will link in the description box below as well as at the end of the video. So if you're coming over from Jessica's channel, I typically start my videos with the coloring process. I do typically use alcohol markers. They're my favorite medium. So I kind of bounce back and forth between my Copic markers and lately my Ohuhu brush tip markers, which I'm using today, and are really affordable alcohol markers, and I'm absolutely loving them. So I'm doing a lighter skin tone, and you can see I have the marker caps to the left hand side there for you, in case you have these markers and want to color the images similarly. So I'm going for those rich fall tones. For the white areas, I am going to use warm grays. So I'm using WG4, WG3, WG01, and then the colorless blender. I do like to use my warm grays as much as possible when I'm coloring white for fall cards. I just love that kind of coziness the warm gray gives. So I'm using that on the beard of the gnome, the little white tuff on the hat of our little kitty here, our kid gnome, and also for the mushroom. So I'm just working from darkest to lightest. I used to color lightest to darkest, but I think I would say I almost always now color darkest to lightest. It's just, I don't know, I find I use less ink that way. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring in some darker brown tones here. So I'm using BR1, BR2, and BR3. So I always list the markers from darkest at the top there to the left hand side all the way down to the lightest, just to make it really easy for you to follow along. So I'm using the same brown color combination for the stripes on the gnomes' hats, as well as their little booties, and then also for the center of the sunflower. Now for this larger area here on the hat, I did do a little bit of tip to tip between the BR2 and the BR3. It just helped get a little bit of a smoother blend there. I really love this brown color combination. It works perfect for a darker skin tone as well. If I had one thing to say about the largest Ohuhu marker set, it would be that I wish there were more skin tone colors, but there is a separate collection of skin tone markers that you can purchase by Ohuhu. So I will link to the markers below, as well as everything else that I'm using in the project today. So I'm going to do a golden yellow color for the gnome's main portion of his outfit, as well as for the sunflower. So for that, I'm using YR2, YR33, and then Y2. So I'll get that really nice golden tone with a little hint of bright yellow that the Y2 gives. Now with the Y2 being a little bit far apart from the YR33, I am just going to go over the entire area with that Y2 just to get a good blend. I decided to color the gnome's outfit in green just so I'd have a little extra green in the card that matched the leaf on the sunflower. The colors that I'm using for that are GY42, GY8, and GY4. So moving on to the red color now, I wanted to make sure I had that nice rich fall red. So I'm actually using a brown colored marker for the darkest, which is Y12. Then I'm bringing in R8, and then I believe that was R4 to carry out that 3-color combination for the red. So I did color up a bunch of the mushrooms in that color. Now for the pumpkin, I went a little bit overboard with the number of markers that I used to color this, and you definitely don't need all these. I just wasn't really sure how it was all going to work out with these markers. So it was a little bit of a trial and error, and it looks like a hot mess until I do a couple of layers, but I'm using Y12, YR5, YR2, Y10, and YR33. And you can see it gives me this really gorgeous, rich kind of browny orange, and then that little bit of highlight of yellow in the center. And I do really like how it turned out in the end. So before constructing the card, I'm just going to add some detail here with my black glaze pen. The glaze pen gives a raised effect, so I like to do that for the eyes of any people or characters, critters that I'm coloring. I also used it for the center of the sunflower, and then I used my white gel pen for some highlights. So now I'm going to start the card, and I'm just making my own stencils here using a wavy border die from Heffy Doodle, and actually that's how Jessica and I met. So Jessica has been a card designer for many years, and I'm sure you all are familiar with her work, and only recently has she kind of started up her YouTube channel. So you guys go over there, show her some love. You're all so amazing to me, and I hope that you can spread some joy and see her amazing cards. So please go over and say hi to her. I know she'll be pleased to have you visit her channel. But yeah, that's how Jessica and I met. She was the design team coordinator for Heffy Doodle in the past, which I'm currently on the design team and also here with Not2Shabby Shop. So love these two design teams. Can't say enough about both of these companies. So I quickly did the bottom of the card panel here. I'm blending on some Bristol Smooth cardstock. And for the greens, I used Mowed Lawn and Forest Moss. So you can see here for the grass, I used the top panel of the cardstock that I die cut my quote unquote stencil from. And now I'm using the bottom piece, which fits nicely over that hill. And I'm using my Tumbled Glass Distress Oxide and the Speckled Egg, which I think I'm in love with. And it's perfect for a nice autumn sky scene with that tumbled glass. So I really love the way this background turned out. So I did oxidize the ink there with some water. I did let that sit for quite a while and then just pick that up with a clean paper towel. So now I have my card panel here, and this is a full card size panel at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I'm just kind of arranging, seeing where I want my images to be placed here for my little scene. And then I can go ahead and start gluing things down. So I'm going to glue most of the images straight onto the card panel. I will pop up the gnomes, and you can see here I colored up a second large gnome there, and I did that in the same red tones as the mushrooms, and then I used the brown color combination for these stripes and the boots so it would match the other gnomes that I colored with you in today's video. I just wanted to balance out the card having those two larger gnomes, and then I'm going to have the little kitty gnome, and I feel like it sounds like I'm saying kitty like cat, but no, I mean little kid, kitty with 2 D's. So I'm going to pop up the little kid gnome there and the mushroom that he's sitting on, as well as the larger gnomes, and that will just give some extra dimension to the card, as I really want those to be at the forefront, and then the other elements with the mushrooms and the pumpkin more to the back, as well as my little sunflower. So I'm going to go ahead, peel off the release paper, and just kind of add my gnomes here When I first lay them down, I'm not putting a lot of pressure on that foam tape until I know that I have them in the place that I want them. Now, that gnome to the left-hand side, I did have a little bit of the cardstock come up when I moved him. So I will fix that here. I'm going to add a sequin. No, I'm going to add a leaf there to kind of hide that little imperfection in the card. So for the sunflower, I decided that I wanted to add that to the gnome's hat, and I love the way it just kind of adds something extra and makes it look like the gnomes are a little bit different. Now the stamp set, I love these little dots that come in the set, and I'm using some Lawn Fawn ink here. This is Walnut, and I'm just going to add that to the ground, and I love how it makes it look like there's little dirt patches, or I don't know, I just feel like it adds this really fun texture to the scene. So I absolutely love that. And now I can go ahead and stamp out my sentiment. So I'm going to use the sentiment, "There's no one like you," for this card. Super sweet sentiment, and I think this would just be a great kind of thinking of you card, especially during these difficult times where we aren't seeing people as much as we normally would. This would be a great one to send to a friend that you're missing. So almost complete with the card. I am going to add some of the leaves here that I colored up just to the top of the card to kind of fill in some of that blank space to the top. And I like how it also carries those rich colors from the images in the card up through to the top. So I will have those overhanging a bit, and I will trim those off where they overhang. I did want to have this red one kind of pointing towards the sentiment, just so it draws your eye towards the sentiment. Then I can go ahead and add this to a card base. So for my card base, I'm using 120-pound accent opaque paper, which is again a product that is really reasonably priced, and I will link that below as well. So to finish off, I'm going to add some glossy accents here to the leaves, the center of the sunflower, the little spots on the mushrooms, and that will just give a nice shine and dimension to those elements. I decided to do the little noses of the gnomes as well. So for a final detail, I'm just bringing in some gold sequins from my stash. I have my little Twiddler's Nook embellishment tray there. I have the star and the heart one. I love these trays. If you've been around with me for a while, you've been seeing these make an appearance, but they make it so easy to use sequins or other little embellishments for your cards. And I'm just using my jewel picker to pick up those sequins and get them in place. So I do fiddle a little bit with the sequins. Once I get them in place, then I can just use my art glitter glue here and get those down where I want them. So I hope you all enjoyed this fall themed card. Make sure, like I said, to go check out Jessica's fall themed card featuring a Not Too Shabby stamp set. As always, thank you so much for joining me. You guys are fantastic. I adore you all. Thank you for your amazing comments. I will see you soon in the next video. Take care, everyone. Bye.